April 18, 1943. Henderson Field, Guadalcanal. The briefing room smelled of sweat and stale coffee. Major John Mitchell stood at the front, a weathered map of the Solomon Islands tacked to plywood behind him. 16 fighter pilots sat in folding chairs, their flight suits dark with humidity. None of them knew yet that they were about to change the course of the war. The intelligence officer's voice was flat, mechanical. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor. He will be flying from Rabaul to Balali Island tomorrow morning, 09:35 hours. 2 Mitsubishi G4M bombers, 60 escorts. The route has been confirmed through intercepted communications. Captain Thomas Lanphier, Jr. felt his pulse quicken. The man who had orchestrated the death of 2,400 Americans would be vulnerable, exposed, traveling in a slow transport aircraft over enemy waters. The room went silent. Every pilot understood what this meant. Mitchell's finger traced a line across the map. 430 nautical miles, over open ocean. Radio silence the entire way. Will be flying at wave-top level to avoid radar detection. 18 P-38 Lightnings. 12 will fly top cover. 4 will make the intercept. The Lockheed P-38 Lightning was not a forgiving aircraft. Twin Allison V-1710 engines, counter-rotating propellers, a central nacelle housing the pilot between 2 booms. It was fast, long-range, but temperamental. Oil leaks were common, engine failures frequent. The superchargers could fail at altitude. But it was the only American fighter with the range to reach Yamamoto. Lanphier stared at his hands. They were steady, for now. The mechanics worked through the night. Every P-38 was stripped of unnecessary weight. Ammunition was reduced. Each aircraft was fitted with 2 165-gallon drop tanks beneath the wings, extending their range to the absolute limit. The Allison engines were tuned to perfection, every spark plug checked, every fuel line inspected. There would be no second chances. Lieutenant Rex Barber walked the flight line in darkness, running his hand along the aluminum skin of his Lightning. The metal was cool, slick with condensation. He could hear the ocean beyond the trees, the rhythmic crash of waves against coral. Somewhere across that water, Yamamoto slept, unaware that American codebreakers had read his schedule down to the minute. At 07:25 hours, the engines roared to life. 18 Lightnings, their twin booms casting long shadows across the coral runway. Mitchell led them south, then west, hugging the wavetops. The formation flew in absolute silence, throttles pulled back to conserve fuel. The ocean blurred beneath them, endless and indifferent. Barber watched his fuel gauges. The needles dropped steadily. Every mile took them farther from safety. If they missed the intercept window, if Yamamoto's flight was delayed, they would run out of fuel over Japanese-held waters. There would be no rescue. At 07:34 hours, Lanphier's voice crackled over the radio. Bogies, 11 o'clock. 2 Mitsubishi G4M bombers, fat and slow, escorted by 6 Zeros. The formation was exactly where intelligence had predicted. Yamamoto was in the lead bomber. Mitchell's voice was ice. All right, Tom, go get him. Lanphier and Barber broke formation, pushing their throttles forward. The Allison engines screamed, superchargers whining as they clawed for altitude. The Zeros reacted instantly, diving to intercept. Tracers ripped through the air, bright orange lines against blue sky. Barber pulled up beneath the lead bomber. The G4M filled his windscreen, its belly exposed, vulnerable. He squeezed the trigger. 4.5 caliber machine guns and a 20mm cannon opened fire simultaneously. The noise was deafening. The bomber's right engine erupted in flames. Black smoke poured from the wing root. The aircraft banked hard, losing altitude, its tail section shredding under the sustained fire. Barber stayed on it, emptying his guns into the fuselage. He could see figures moving inside the cabin, shadows against fire. The bomber hit the jungle canopy and exploded. Lanfear was screaming over the radio, claiming the kill. Barber said nothing. His hands were shaking now, adrenaline flooding his system. He turned for home, fuel gauges nearing empty. The flight back was silent. One P-38 had been lost to zeros. The others limped into Henderson Field on fumes, engines sputtering as they touched down. That night, intelligence confirmed it. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto was dead. His body had been found in the wreckage, still strapped into his seat, his hand gripping his ceremonial sword. But in the debriefing room, a new question emerged. Who had actually fired the killing shots? Lanfear insisted it was him. Barber said nothing. But his gun camera footage told a different story. The argument would last for decades. But something else troubled the pilots that night, something none of them spoke aloud. In the wreckage, Japanese soldiers had found Yamamoto's personal diary. The last entry was dated April 17, 1943. It described a dream of lightning.
May 2, 1943, Washington, D.C. The classified briefing occurred in a basement room beneath the War Department. No windows, no records. Captain Thomas Lanfear sat across from 3 Navy intelligence officers. The air was thick with cigarette smoke. The senior officer slid a photograph across the table. It showed Yamamoto's body being carried through the jungle on a stretcher. His uniform was immaculate despite the crash, his face peaceful. "The diary," the officer said. "Have you been told about the diary?" Lanfear shook his head. Yamamoto wrote about a recurring dream, a lightning bolt splitting the sky, a twin-tailed devil. He had the dream 3 nights before his death. He told his staff he believed it was a premonition. Lanfear's mouth went dry. Superstition? Perhaps, the officer leaned forward. But here's what troubles us. Yamamoto changed his flight schedule twice. He delayed his departure by 30 minutes the morning of April 18th. He requested a different route. His staff overruled him. They insisted he stay on schedule. The room felt colder. Lanfear could hear his own heartbeat. If he had delayed another 15 minutes, you would have missed him entirely. Your fuel would have forced you to turn back. Yamamoto would still be alive. Lanfear stared at the photograph. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because we need to understand what happened out there. Lieutenant Barger's gun camera shows his aircraft firing on the lead bomber. Your camera shows you engaging zeros, yet you claimed the kill. I saw the bomber go down. I was the one who... We're not questioning your courage, Captain. We're questioning the narrative. The P-38 that shot down Yamamoto was captured on film by a coast watcher on Bougainville. The footage shows a single lightning making the kill. The tail number matches Barber's aircraft." Lanfear felt something crack inside him. The glory, the recognition, the Medal of Honor recommendation, all of it based on his report. Barber never disputed your claim. He could have. He chose not to. Do you know why? Lanfear said nothing. Because he understood something you don't. The mission wasn't about personal glory. It was about removing a strategic threat. Yamamoto's death has already shifted Japanese morale. Their officers are demoralized. Their plans are in disarray. That's what matters. The officer stood. You'll receive a Navy Cross. Barber will receive the same. The official record will state that the kill was achieved by multiple pilots working in coordination.
The truth will remain classified for 50 years. Do you understand?" Lamphere nodded slowly. The weight of it settled over him like a shroud. He returned to Guadalcanal 3 days later. Barber was there, working on his P-38. The Allison engines were being overhauled, new spark plugs installed. Oil stains darkened the coral beneath the aircraft. Barber looked up. His face was unreadable. "I'm sorry," Lamphere said. Barber wiped his hands on a rag. "For what?" "For taking credit. For—" "You didn't take anything. We were both there. We both fired. The bomber went down. That's all that matters." But it wasn't all that mattered. Lamphere knew it. Barber knew it. The lie would follow them for the rest of their lives. Years later, after the war, Lamphere would give speeches. He would describe the mission in vivid detail, always placing himself as the primary shooter. Barber would attend some of these speeches, sitting in the back row, silent. In 1973, declassified documents revealed the truth. Gun camera footage, Coast Watcher reports, Japanese eyewitness accounts, all confirmed Barber's kill. Lamphere never publicly acknowledged it. He died in 1987, still claiming he had shot down Yamamoto. Barber died in 2001. At his funeral, a Navy admiral read from a letter Barber had written decades earlier, never sent. "I didn't shoot down a man. I shot down an idea. The idea that Japan was invincible. The idea that Pearl Harbor would go unanswered. The lightning that killed Yamamoto wasn't mine or Tom's. It belonged to every American who died that December morning." The letter ended with a single line: "Let history decide. I already know the truth." The P-38 Lightning that Rex Barber flew on April 18, 1943, tail number 12-3-8050, was scrapped after the war. Its Allison V-1710 engines were salvaged. Its aluminum was melted down. But the ghost of that aircraft still flies, in declassified footage, in pilot debriefs, in the diary of an admiral who dreamed of lightning. Some missions don't end when the engines shut down. Some missions echo across generations, carrying questions that have no answers, only the weight of what was done and what was said afterward. The lightning that killed a god became a legend. But legends, like history, belong to those who tell them. And sometimes the truth arrives too late to matter.